If Star Trek wants to give William Shatner's Captain Kirk the best possible comeback, it needs Chris Pine to return also. William Shatner's Captain James T. Kirk is arguably the most iconic figure in Star Trek history. From the moment he took command of the USS Enterprise in 1966, Shatner's bold, dramatic, and unflinchingly human portrayal of the legendary Starfleet captain defined an era of science fiction. Decades later, Chris Pine revitalized the character for a new generation in the Kelvin Timeline films, offering a modern yet respectful reinterpretation of Kirk. Now, as Star Trek continues expanding across timelines and universes, the stars seem aligned for the franchise to do something bold, bring both versions of Kirk together for one final, universe-shattering adventure. If Star Trek truly wants to give William Shatner's Captain Kirk the best possible comeback, it needs Chris Pine on the bridge with him. The return of Shatner's Kirk isn't impossible anymore. For years, the idea of William Shatner returning as Kirk seemed laughable. After all, the character died in Star Trek Generations in 1994. But science fiction thrives on the impossible. Time travel, multiverses, alternate realities, and transporter miracles are baked into Star Trek's DNA. With the current franchise already embracing the concept of the multiverse, as seen in Star Trek, Discovery, Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds, the barriers that once kept Shatner's Kirk locked in the past are no longer insurmountable. In fact, Shatner himself has expressed openness to returning under the right circumstances. He's been vocal about wanting a story that does justice to the character and offers more than a nostalgia cameo. Shatner is 94 years old in 2025, but with today's technology, de-aging, body doubles, and careful scene construction, an aged Kirk could return believably, especially if framed within the context of time travel or alternate reality. But if Star Trek is going to do it, it must go big. And that means not just a return, but a story. A legacy. A final mission. One that links the past, present, and future. And the key to that lies in Chris Pine. Chris Pine is the only modern Kirk who can match Shatner's legacy. Chris Pine's portrayal of Kirk in the Kelvin Timeline films Star Trek 2009, Into Darkness, and beyond was a risky endeavor from the start. Recasting such an iconic character could have easily gone wrong, but Pine managed the delicate balance between homage and originality. His Kirk was brash, impulsive, witty, and deeply flawed, a perfect modern analog to the classic Kirk while reflecting a younger man forged by loss, chaos, and duty. Pine never tried to mimic Shatner. Instead, he understood the spirit of the character. That's what made his version work so well. It wasn't just about the phrasing or the posture, it was about Kirk's heart, the relentless drive to protect his crew and explore the unknown. While the Kelvin Timeline movies struggled with consistency and production delays, Pine's Kirk remained one of the highlights. He was dynamic, emotionally grounded, and, most importantly, believable. And now, after years of uncertainty, Pine has also shown openness to returning if the story is compelling and the timing is right. Pairing him with Shatner wouldn't just be fan service. It would be a moment of Star Trek synergy, two men from different realities tied by fate, leadership, and the call of the stars. A fusion of generations that could bring thematic and emotional closure to the character of James T. Kirk in a way generations never truly achieved. A dual Kirk story could unite Star Trek's multiverse. The Star Trek multiverse is wide and chaotic. Prime Timeline, Mirror Universe, Kelvin Timeline, alternate futures, it's all part of the canon now. But there's rarely cohesion. A film or miniseries that brings Shatner's Prime Kirk and Pine's Kelvin Kirk together could serve as the narrative thread that binds these divergent paths. Imagine a crisis that threatens all realities, something so vast and dangerous that only the greatest captains can solve it. A cross-dimensional rift opens. Strange signals lead two enterprises to the same anomaly. And suddenly, Kirk meets Kirk. Such a story could be in homage to Star Trek's greatest episodes involving dual identities and time paradoxes, like Mirror, Mirror, The City on the Edge of Forever, and Yesterday's Enterprise. And it would allow both Shatner and Pine to reflect on what it truly means to be Kirk. Does Kirk ever really change? Or are there constants, boldness, compassion, sacrifice that define him no matter the timeline? That's the heart of the story. A redemption arc for Shatner's Kirk. There's always been something unsatisfying about how Shatner's Kirk died in Generations. He saves the day, yes, but he dies alone, buried under a rock with only Jean-Luc Picard present. For a character as mythic as Kirk, that ending felt anticlimactic and cold. Bringing Kirk back offers a chance to rewrite that legacy, not by ignoring it, but by building on it. He could be pulled from the Nexus, from a pocket timeline, or even from an echo of consciousness stored in subspace. However it's done, the point would be to give Kirk one final mission worthy of his name. One that challenges him emotionally and spiritually. One that allows him to choose how he leaves the stage. With Pine's Kirk alongside him, we get the mirror of youth and age, inexperience and wisdom. The younger Kirk could see the cost of heroism reflected in the older one. And Shatner's Kirk could see the legacy he's inspired, the evolution of his ideals in a new age. Kirk deserves a goodbye that feels like Kirk. One last shot at the captain's chair. One more impossible choice. And a death or survival that feels earned, not random. How the audience wins? Pairing Shatner and Pine is not just a dream for longtime Trekkies, it's a win for newer fans too. It connects generations of storytelling in a way few franchises can manage. Marvel has done it with multiversal Spider-Man. DC is trying it with Batman. But Star Trek was doing this long before multiverses were mainstream. Think about the potential, scenes where the two Kirks debate strategy, reflect on love and loss, joke about their reputations, or even disagree about the right path forward. It would be both meta and meaningful. It would explore identity, duty, and mortality in a way that only Star Trek can, through character-driven science fiction that explores the human condition across time and space. And from a production standpoint, the possibilities are exciting. Director Matt Shakman was previously attached to a fourth Kelvin movie and could be the kind of storyteller to pull this off. With streaming and cinematic universes converging, a Star Trek movie or miniseries event could become the franchise's version of No Way Home, a high-stakes, emotional, and celebratory crossover that reinvigorates interest in both the Kelvin films and the original series mythology. What about canon? What about logic? Yes, canon purists will have questions. Shatner's Kirk died. Pine's Kirk exists in a parallel universe. How did it all fit together? But Star Trek has never shied away from bending time and logic when the story calls for it. From Spock's resurrection to Picard's android body to time loops, alternate timelines, and Q interventions, the franchise has made peace with the improbable. The key is to ground the story emotionally. If fans believe in the characters, they'll accept the science fiction logic that brings them together. Whether through a temporal anomaly, an experiment gone wrong, or the final gambit of a dying Q, all it takes is one clever premise and a whole lot of heart. Shatner and Pine, different but the same. At their core, both William Shatner and of Star Trek's